We are here with Representative Sharon Wylie with the 49th District. How are you today?
Well, pretty good considering the kind of week we've had here.
So far, we've still got like 3 or 4 days left. And yesterday there was a lot of floor action. What happened?
We sent over a vastly compromised operating budget in order to try to keep things moving so that we don't have a government shutdown.
Explain that to us a little bit. What would that look like?
Well, our Constitution requires that we get a budget passed by July 1st. And any budget or any major bill that goes through, there's certain mechanical things that have to happen paperwork-wise in order for the process to be complete. So we're kind of in the countdown stage right now where we have to move quickly in order to meet the deadline for this special session and avoid either another special session or going down to the end of the month.
So what was the difference between this budget that you passed yesterday and the previous one?
There was a lot less money for education, about a third or a fourth less money as far as the new revenue for the McCleary decision. There were some more cuts and there were fewer tax loopholes closed.
Okay, so where's the Senate now?
We're not sure. There was some response from the Senate that progress is being made in the talks. There's a real effort to not have inaccuracies being bandied back and forth in public and to try to bargain in good faith. So there was some signals from the Senate that we've made progress. They acknowledged that we'd made some huge compromises. But there were some other pieces of feedback that indicated that there were still some huge disagreements. And the disagreements really, I think, come down to whether or not taking away tax loopholes that don't work constitute a tax increase. And some of us think that making sure everybody pays their fair share and that any tax incentives or tax loopholes really provide value to the public and are really needed in order to keep jobs in the state, those don't count. And other people think that any tax change at all that goes in an upward direction, no matter what the cause, is a tax increase.
And a lot of these tax loopholes or tax breaks are really old, is that correct? I mean,
a lot of them are very old.
So they're not even functioning the way that they were ever intended to anymore.
Right, and there are 620 of them, and we were only talking about, I think, about 5. That's what we're down to. And a lot of them have been vetted and analyzed and proven to not be good value. And we still have many huge tax incentives to profitable companies that some would argue don't need them. And they're still out there, and in all of our history, we've given these tax incentives. Very, very few of them have ever been withdrawn or allowed to expire.
A lot of the stories in the paper are talking about the Senate wanting to have a whole bunch of bills considered in order to pass this budget. So they're keeping the budget hostage. Is that accurate? What's going on?
I don't think I would characterize it that way. I think that the House position is that at this stage of the game, we shouldn't be resurrecting bills that didn't make it through the regular process, and that we should just stick to the ones that have to be done. And to us, those are the 3 budget bills: the primary operating budget, which is constitutionally mandated, but we also have a transportation package and a capital budget that provide jobs and needed infrastructure. And so some of us would say these 3 bills are what we should be talking about. And frankly, we all have policy bills or non-budget bills that we wish would squeak through, but we're restraining ourselves. And if we start opening that door, we're going to be here till the very last minute, and we will divert our attention from the budget bill. And I have some bills that are very important to my district, and it's very, very hard for me to restrain myself.
Mm-hmm. But again, the priority is the budget.
The priority is the budget. And I think that, like the House, there's differences of opinion in the Senate. And what we're trying to do is to get back to the idea that a compromise is necessary in order to keep doing the people's business. If we don't finish on time, we have to lay people off and give them notice. And that puts a big disruption in our school system and in our social services. You know, we don't want to act like the other Washington, and we're doing everything in our power to not act like the other Washington. And doing everything in our power means accepting some changes that we don't want personally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, anything else you want to tell people back home in Vancouver?
Well, I just believe that we've made some hard choices, and for me, the choice is to say rich folks that have been taxed and whose taxes have been through the election process and retained by the people against all of our millions of school kids who need a good education for our future. To me, it's no contest, particularly when we're talking about things like the Bracken decision, where the people spoke at the, at the ballot box, and we've always had some form of a state tax, but going back to the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, thank you very much, and keep us posted.
I will.